Yes, sir, we can.
Is not yet online on YouTube. Huh. A very good evening, everyone here. I am here with the first session of the program that we are going to have, that is Doctors with a Difference. This current COVID-19 situation, the pandemic situation, has brought a drastic change in the way we live today. And one of the changes that has happened is we are looking back at a lot of things that were not considered very important. Doctors are one community that is now very, very important one. And uh, in today's situation or otherwise, doctors always have been important and they were providing the healthcare to the whole of the world. But there are some people who walk a different path in their life. There are some doctors who do things differently. And this is all about bringing such doctors in front of all of you. I'm very happy that Prayas, On Your Growth and Kalya Health has started this particular initiative to bring in doctors who have walked on a different path in their lives in front of the community. I'm very, very happy that I'm starting with somebody whom I idolize, whom I have seen as a young kid, my own father, Dr. Avinash Savji, as the first guest for this series that we are going to have every Tuesday henceforth. Dr. Avinash Savji is somebody who was a brilliant student during his schooling, 10th and 12th. He was in state merit list. He graduated, he did his MBBS from the Government Medical College, Nagpur, which is considered as one of the topmost medical colleges in the country. But then, even there, he was one of the most brilliant people of his batch. He could choose to do MD or MS in any subject of his choice, but he chose to do something different. And that is the reason why we wanted to begin with him today. I welcome Dr. Avinash, or whom I call very fondly my Baba. Baba, welcome to you.
Yes, thank you.
And yes, please tell us what was the thought process of not joining an MD program when you were offered one during the college time, and then you chose to do a lot of things in your life. In fact, if somebody asks me what my father does, I just tell them that he is an MBBS, but he doesn't do anything with MBBS. So a couple of questions there would be: one, uh, how was your learning in the medical college, and what did you do after that? We start with that.
Okay, fine. So, good evening, all of the friends who are watching this conversation. I'm really happy that Dr. Apar, who is my son, and as a parent, I'm feeling so happy and proud of what he's started doing the things which I used to do and still doing is to bring the role models in the different sector in front of the society so that the people get motivated. And the same thing now APAR is starting in this series of Doctors with a Difference. So I'm really feeling very happy, and it's a little bit, what you can say, during conversation it is a bit odd thing also. My son is moderating the session, so little bit of what you can say, the fun and the hitch also maybe. The story started with my early childhood. I belongs to a lower middle class family in a small place, small village, we can say. I studied there up to 12. So 10 plus 2 first batch in Maharashtra. So I belongs to that batch. And in my family also, no one is, what I can say, having a very high education or like that. My father used to run a grocery and the cloth and the medical shop in that small village. Uh, Having a good marks, uh, I could get admission to both, what we can say, medicine or the engineering stream. During our days, these were the only two streams for the meritorious students. There were only three medical colleges, no private medical colleges, no private engineering colleges. So I got selected in the Government Medical College, Nagpur, which was supposed to be one of the best college in the central India, or say India during those days. Uh, I uh, I was from a small village. I I have done my higher secondary education. Till my higher secondary education, it was all in the Marathi or the local language. So no English background. So it was very difficult for me uh, to cope up with the government. Uh, there used to be a big gap between what usually the rural background students used to have. Lot many inferiority complexes, not what you can say, no communication skill. English was very poor. Uh, so all these what you can say, the complexes were with me, and there were many students in my batch who belongs to the English medium or the, what you can say, the city school background. Parents are well educated, they can uh, talk in English, they can communicate very well. So all these things I used to compare with them, and I used to found very low during those days. And how to overcome that? I believe that probably that was the ignite, that was the ignition point. Initially, I tried all the ways to what I can say, to look beautiful, to have uh, impression on the other people by using all the cosmetics, all what we can say, the cloth material and everything. But it was fortunate that at a very early stage, I could learn that not by seeing but by being can make the difference. And then the journey uh, changed from seeing to being. Uh, Three things helped me in this process. First is the reading habit. So I was very fond of reading things. Uh, in the medical colleges, I read the Vivekananda, then the Gandhi, then the Vinobaji, then lot many saints, their biographies, autobiographies, and many other things. And still the reading habit is continued. I used to read around 30 to 40,000 pages every year since last, I can say, around 40 years. So that is still going on. So by reading all these biographies, autobiographies, and other things, I thought that human life is made to live for once, and why to exchange it for the sake of currency? We should have some meaningful life. We should have some purpose for living. So this learning I got from the books. Then the second, what you can say, influence was that we have met lot many people who had lived on a different path. In spite of having all the choices with them, they left those choices and they have led some different path of their life journey, and they could make difference in others' life also. So they themselves lived in a different way, and they were able to make difference in others' life. One known example probably you might have heard regarding one of the reformer, what you can say, or the social activist Baba Amte, who had been known for his leprosy and many other area. So we were fortunate that during our college days only we could have the some association with this Baba Amte and many other such people. So that was the second point. And third point was that we were having a group of friends in our college and out of college also. And we used to do lot many things, which are what you can say some crazy things. I mean, starting with a bicycle uh, in the night and going for 60 kilometers or something like that. Or we have traveled from Nagpur to Bhopal without taking a money in our pocket with cycle, three friends, just to examine our own self, just to find out our own capacities, what we exactly can do. So that was the third point, basically the friends. And we were so crazy in doing all these kind of things. We enjoyed a lot of things there apart from the study. So our batchmates used to write on our hostel notice board, the great psychos of GMC in Nagpur. There were four of us basically, and lot many others were there. So out of those four, I am the one. Another psycho, Dr. Ravindra Kolle, who is the Padma Shri of last year, who after doing his MD PSM, he chose such a village that he has to walk on foot to catch a bus for 40 kilometers. That was the second friend. Third friend, who had done his ophthalmology and who is now the civil surgeon of Buldhana district and leading this COVID-19 fight. And our fourth batchmate, who had done his MS and then the plastic surgery and now settled in the Australia Gold Coast. He is one of the best surgeon there, and still he used to come every year with his team, with his all expenses to a remote tribal area of Amravati district. He used to stay there for a few days and perform the surgeries with free of cost, around 100 150 surgeries every year since last 12 years. So that craziness is still there. So basically, I believe that such kind of psycho people only can do something in their life. The rest of the people can earn little more money. They can, what you can say, have a more square feet area of their house, or maybe some new model of car or something like that. But if you really want to do something meaningful in life, try to become crazy in some or the other thing. Try to follow your own passion. Yes, I believe these are the influences.
Thank you for
Yes,
letting
Avatar.
us know. The three influences that you spoke was reading beyond the textbooks. Second, having good
Yes.
friends and company. And third is meeting other people who are different in their lives. I think this On Your Growth is a platform where people have started gathering together with an intention of learning new things, which suffices the craziness that we see. So after your medical college, you were offered MD in medicine. In fact, you did your residency also for some time, but then you chose to quit that MD. You know, in 1984, having an MD in general medicine or doing general surgery would have been making you a lot of money. But then you, because of the influences that you had, you chose not to do it. Number one, how was this decision done? Number two, after not doing MD in general medicine, what did you do?
Okay, fine. Because of all these influences, up to what you can say, the completion of final year exam or during what you can say the internship, it was very clear to me that what I am not going to do in my life. What to do was not at all clear to me. But what I am not going to do, that was very clear to me. One thing I decided during those days that I am not going to exchange my time for the sake of currency. That was the first thing. So I want to live at my own terms and condition, and I want to lead a very happy and what you can say the peaceful life. That was one thing. So I'm not going to sell my knowledge, because I believe in the principle that as knowledge is to be shared and not to be sold. Okay, so that was the first thing. Another thing probably which I want to serve for the masses and not for the classes. So I mean, going for the further education and serving a narrow part of the society. I thought that till my graduation, that knowledge is enough to reach to the masses and during those days, so that I can go to the masses. Third thing, which was the factor, probably was that during our medical education, we have been taught the definition of health, the WHO definition of health. The health is defined as the well-being in the 4 dimensions and just not the absence of the disease. So that is the physical, mental, social, and the emotional part, probably. And and the spiritual part, fourth one is the, and I learned that definition, and I have seen that the most of the doctors are practicing the physical part, that too to some extent. I mean, lot many diseases we don't know the why this happens, and what are the causative factors. Many are the just what you can say the postulates or the theories only, and we don't have even the cure for lot many diseases. We had cure for a very few what we can say the illnesses. Okay, so that was the first part. The psychiatrist or the psychologists treat only what you can say the major psychosis part. That is again a very small fraction of the mental or the psychological illnesses or the health, what you can say. There are hardly anyone who is dealing with the social and the spiritual component of the health. And as per the WHO definition, if you are not well in all the 4 dimensions, you are not healthy. So according to that definition, probably most of us are ill, either suffering from this or the other way. So I thought that rather than practicing just like the other people in the dealing with the some part of the physical health, I was interested in dealing with the other dimensions of the health, which hardly anyone used to practice. So that was the third reason probably, and that's why I decided not to go for post graduation. Okay, so it was a very crazy decision from the perspective of my family members and the friends and many other things. They said that you just became the crazy one, and you will definitely what you can say in the later in your life you may feel bad about your decision, what you decided. But it was very clear to me that I am not going to do that. Then the people used to ask that then what you are going to do next. Okay, so I had no answer for that, because I was knowing that this is not my cup of tea. But what to do exactly, that was not at all clear for me. So I left the residency, as Apar told. I just thought of for 2 months and then left all those things. And I started the inner journey, searching my soul, what exactly I really want to do something in my life. And I had been to Gujarat for a year there. I lived there in a tribal area, in a very remote area where there were no electricity, no water in the nearby. We had to walk for 5 kilometers to catch up a bus from the mud and crossing the, what you can say, the small rivers and other things. So I tried to explore my own self during that 1 year stay. I tried to minimize my own personal needs, because it was very clear that I am not going to make money to that extent probably, which my other batchmates may be making. So I need to curtail down my personal needs. So I experimented on that, because the influence of the Gandhi, he tried to live, and he what I can say, he put forward the principle of voluntary poverty. Okay, it's a voluntary poverty. It is by choice you adopt to the poverty. Okay, not by majburi, but it is by choice. So I was believing in that principle, because the life become very easy if you are having the minimum needs. So you can be happy at any place, whether there is electricity, where there are the amenities or not. I mean, there is nothing bad in the amenities or the luxury, but then you don't become dependent on all those things. Your happiness doesn't depend on the external things. It all depends on your intrinsic things. So no situation outside can what you can say touch to your level of happiness and peace inside. So that those were the probably reasons why I left uh, the thought of going for post graduation. But now I can definitely say it was a decision taken in 1983, 83, 84, I can say. So now after 36 years, I can definitely say that even I pursued some MD medicine program, and then I have done some super specialization, say cardiology or the neurology or something like that. I had been known as a cardiologist or the neurologist or something, what can some specialty in one specialty only. Okay, by not doing that, now I am recognized not by university qualification, but by the knowledge and the expertise level, what I can say. I am known as a cardiologist, preventive cardiologist, which probably very few of them in the all over the state. Okay, I am known for the even the nephrology, what we can say, even the cancer regarding the malignancy, also oncology. Also, we have done something in our life. So not by university qualification, but by knowledge, by using my personal experiences, by using all these, what you can say, the integrated approach towards health, the spiritual and the social health, which are having a very major therapeutic value. If you can add that, then probably the what you can say, the routine therapeutic things, the present day modern medicine totally relies on either the pills or the procedures. So either the chemicals or the procedure based things are there. So I tried to go beyond that, and we got a very wonderful result. So I used to say that it was because of that, rejecting the MD medicine degree from Nagpur University, I had been awarded so many degrees like preventive cardiologist, nephrologist, oncologist by the People's University. So these are the degrees awarded by the People's University, and I believe that those are the highest degrees probably. Yes.
Thank you for sharing that initial part of the journey, and your experience is definitely enriching the younger generation of doctors who are sitting and watching this particular show. The initial part of your career, like you said, you wanted to minimize your needs and work for society, looking at the social health. You chose to work for people in tribal areas, going on scooters. I remember as a child going with you on the scooter, having a mobile clinic. So how was your experience working with the tribals and the malnutrition, the early part of it? And how did it lead to what you started in 94, the organization called Prayas, which means efforts, and what was the thrust areas of Prayas?
Okay, fine. Just now I mentioned that during my college days only, it was clear for me that what I am not going to do. Okay. So it was very clear that probably I will be going to a remote area where no medical facilities are available. During our clinics, practicals in the hospital, during the second MBBS and the final MBBS, okay, whenever I used to visit a patient, I used to examine a patient, take history, and examine, diagnosing, and what you can say, the analyzing the therapy part of that. By the back of mind, it was always there that suppose I am at such a place where no second opinion is available to me, no laboratory or the X-ray backup is available for me, and still I have to diagnose the patient and treat him in a very most scientific and most appropriate way. So the focus was that rather than relying on these kind of investigations and other things, my focus while examining and taking every case during my medical education was how I can, what we can say, sharpen my clinical skills. I mean, taking history, using my senses for the proper diagnosis. Okay, so I can definitely very confidently say that because of this approach, while examining every patient, my clinical skills become very sharp. So during internship also, I have done it in a very sincere way because I was knowing that I will be at such a place where nobody else will be there to guide me to discuss regarding the patient or whatever the facilities will not be available there. So I always focused on sharpening my clinical skills. Okay, so I will definitely suggest to these all youngsters who are uh, going to be a doctors. So try to sharpen your clinical skills. That can make your diagnosis very, very perfect. You don't have to rely much on the, what you can say, the external things, definitely. Then I started the journey in the Gujarat, which I said for an year. And then I shifted to Amravati district in a very small place, having a population of 1200. Okay, 1200 population. I have selected that village. There was one institute, organization, Gandhian organization, which was working there. And I joined their rural and tribal community health program in 1985. During those days only, my friend, Dr. Ravi Kolle, who was one of the crazy guy and who had been awarded Padma Shri last year, during those days only, he selected a village in the Melghat, one of the most primitive tribal area of the same Amravati district. I had chosen another part of the Amravati district. I lived there for around 10 years in that small village of population of 1200 only. It was around 50-60 kilometers from the district headquarters. The road conditions were not good, and we were having the satellite health centers in the nearby villages. So we were having the maternity homes, and we used to conduct around 400, 500 deliveries every year. So I had taken the in charge of all these activities. In addition to that, we were having the community health program, that is the maternal and child health care program. So we used to go to the community. We used to, what you can say, under 5 growth monitoring by weighing the kids less than 5 years every month. Our health workers were there from that rural or the tribal village only. Some ladies we have selected, we trained them to diagnose the primary and to offer the primary health care. So they used to go house to house, then they talk with the mothers. They used to see whether the children are growing as per their age or not. So there used to be around, I can say, 20% of the children under 5 used to be malnourished during those days. Okay, so around 10 to 20% are the grade 3 or the severe malnutrition grade. 60% of the children used to lag behind where they should reach. So their growth was retarded. Their weight was not as per their age. So we tried, I used to go to all these villages with the motorbike, cycle, bicycle, or whatever way. There used to be a lot, many no roads were there, so lot of, what you can say, the mud and everything. But I enjoyed all those things. And we used to monitor around, I can say, I remember still around 1500 under 5 children. Every month, we used to weigh them and see that how their growth is progressing. And if not, then try to give the health education to the family, then give them some nutrition supplement and the other things like that. And I'm very happy that we could uh, many of those malnourished kids have survived, and now they have grown up. Now they have their own children. Otherwise, probably many of them probably could not have survived. So that is the biggest pleasure one gets when you say that you can touch to the life of the others and you can make some change in others' life. During those days only, there was a small indoor in that small village, and I was living there for 24/7 by 365 days. So people used to come to me. Some emergencies also used to be there. Say like the snake bite, then the organophosphorus poisoning, and many other things. Okay, so we used to deal all those things without any investigative backup because of my, what you can say, the clinical, on the basis of my clinical skills, which I tried to sharpen during my medical school education. So we had treated all these emergencies which otherwise have to go to the district hospital, and it was not possible for them, many of them, to reach there. So every year there used to be some suicidal attempts by ingesting this organophosphorus poisoning. During those days, Endrine was the brand name. So Endrine poisoning, what we can say. I remember that I used to treat all those cases there only, and the cases which I treated, they all survived. So within 2 years of being there, their people used to say that if you really want to make your suicidal attempt successful by ingesting this organophosphorus poisoning, then first see that Dr. Sauji is not in the place for next 2-3 days. Then only you can die. Otherwise, you just can't die. You can't make your suicidal attempt successful. So that was, what you can say, the testimonial which I used to get from those village folks. So I enjoyed all those things there. So I lived there for 10 years. I started with just, what I can say, 1200 rupees honorarium in 1985, and 94 when I left, I used to get 1800 rupees. I remember the birth of Apar. Okay, so there was one satellite center, one remote center, where we used to have our maternity home, and I used to go there on a weekly basis to visit and to see the patients and to run the OPD and other things. So we decided to have the birth of Apar at that remote center. The one thing was behind that, people will then only believe that if you can manage your own family, what you can say, the one of the most precious thing, because we see that there are lot many people who are living in a dual atmosphere. For others, definitely they say that these are the community or the government hospitals or the government infrastructure is okay. But for their own family members, they used to go to the Europe or the USA or the everywhere. So I don't want that kind of duality, and I was very confident regarding my own and our own, what I can say, the staff and other people capabilities. So we purposely decided to have the birth of Apar at that small place. And I remember that his birth weight was 1200 grams. Okay, 1 kg, 1.2 kg only. And it is supposed to that these kind of babies will need incubator and lot many neonatology and other expertise and everything. But I am happy to say and remember all those things right now that we could manage this 1.2 kg baby at that place only, okay, with the help and support of our staff, my friends, and other people and well wishes. And now he is in front of you. Otherwise, it is very difficult. I mean, as per the textbook, what we can say, they say that it has to be managed in a super specialty place only. So I believe that key knowledge you can gain if you really desire. You don't really need the what you can say, the academic qualification in that at per se. Yes, I think.
Okay,
Then
so thank you so much for telling my birth story to our viewers.
yes,
Uh,
yes,
and I would just like to add, probably I had also jaundice. That is what I have heard from you and Ma. And
yes,
one of the
yes.
things that we have done early days was naturopathy without knowing that it is naturopathy. I was treated with sun baths, which was considered to be one of the naturopathy treatments. And today I happen to be a naturopath. So,
Yes, yes.
how was your journey from this kind of tribal health and working for malnourished children to what you do today? Uh, for my viewers, my father is involved with. I think it was in 2000 that you started working on heart disease prevention and
Lifestyle.
cure,
Yes, yes, yes.
lifestyle medicine, which
Urban illnesses.
in the urban sector, which essentially became my inspiration to join the passion that I do today, working with lifestyle illnesses and helping people with lifestyle illnesses. So, how was this transition from malnutrition to overnutrition?
Okay, okay. Uh, for working for 10 years with that organization, I left that after working with 10 years, and then we started our own NGOs with the friends. That is Prayas, which Apar mentioned. And in 1994, and since last 26 years, we are working. Whatever things we are doing, it is all through under the banner of this organization. This is a non-government organization. This is not for profit charitable trust. Okay. So for initial I can say that for 20 years of my career, I opted mainly the domain was the rural and the tribal. I mean, the people who don't have the resources. There are two sectors of our community. One, what we can say, the scarcity part of the community, the tribal, rural, and the urban slum people who don't have the resources, who are poor by currency, who there are no services, their education level is not that much. So that is one part. And the problems out of that scarcity, what I can say. So for initial 20 years, I used to deal with those problems which are arised out of the scarcity, the malnutrition, then the infectious diseases and other things, what we can say. The other sector of our community is the affluent one, the urban people, the literate class, what we can say, which is also now around 30 to 40% of our population. And they are suffering because of the affluence. In science, we know that anything in excess is also toxic. Okay, if your BP shoots up, then you can die because of that. If your blood sugar shoots up, that is also a pathological part. So within normal, what we can say. So on one end, there is a scarcity part because of the cause of their suffering and problems. On the other side, the affluence part. The people are having more, and that's why they are suffering, and they are what you can say, they are doing the things. uh, I mentioned during those days 60% of the children used to be malnourished, so they are underweight for their age. So we used to label them that they are the people who are tribal, who don't listen, who are having the superstitions, who are not learned, and that's why they are malnourished. Now, on the other hand, the urban literate class, which I can say in India today also, the 60% of the urban literate adults are overweight. This is the just another kind of malnutrition. Only thing is that we are literate, so we don't want that label of malnutrition, which we meant it for the poor only, poor fellows only. Okay, we are literate, so we are very, what I can say, wise to label it in a very different way. So we call that kind of malnutrition, which most of us are suffering of having excess weight, obesity. We label them as a lifestyle illnesses and obesity and other things, because we believe that malnutrition is not the word which fits in our interior, okay, interior of our mind or the whatever it is. So, but it is the same. When I came to know that, I mean, at least the village people, the tribal people, they are quite happy. They don't feel lonely, at least. So they are quite, what we can say, their value system is very strong. We need to learn lot many things from them. On the other hand, we say that all these literate class, they are so empty from inside. So they are having this kind of suffering. So I thought that this is also another sector probably which I need to do something for that. One more thing was in my mind that if we can breach these two sectors of the community, one who are having the scarcity, who don't have the resources, and other people who are suffering because of the excess or the surplus. So if we can combine these two sectors, and then probably we can motivate the people who are suffering because of the excess to cut down their excess and offer it for the people who have the scarcity, so that probably we can breach these both sectors of the community, and that's why the both communities will get benefited. This was the philosophy behind, I mean, touching to the urban literate area. So as Apar told that we started working with these urban literate population health issues like the lifestyle illnesses. So I remember that in year 2000, I just first delivered my speech regarding the awareness of the lifestyle and the heart disease. I was MBBS, so for initial few days, people used to ask that what is the authority you are having to speak something regarding the cardiology? Okay, and that was a very rational question, but just within what we can say few months or a year, that question nobody has asked during last 19 years to me. What is your qualification and why you are going to tell regarding our cardiology? I can even say one incident. I had been to a big town in Maharashtra. There were 5 physicians who are practicing there since last 20-25 years. They have started a ICU there. 5 physicians, MD medicine people started a ICU there, and I had been called to speak on the preventive cardiology on the eve of 8th anniversary of this ICU, which has been run by the 5 MD medicine people. So I just tell them that in spite of calling some big DM or something for this occasion, you have called a plain MBBS person and you are putting him as an expert. So I believe that, I mean, that is just possible. That is not at all difficult. So that journey began, and I can say that I had traveled across the state. I used to travel a lot, around 8 to 10 days a month. I used to visit 4-5 districts every month to deliver these speeches, these public speeches, which has been attended by 500,000 people everywhere. And almost I had been to almost most of the districts of the Maharashtra state and few outside also. 1,000+ speeches for the public, many speeches for the IMA or the medical forums, what you can say, on this subject, lifestyle and health. And we started organizing workshops. Initially 1 or 2 days workshop we used to organize. So around say 200 workshops we have organized, and 10,000 participants have participated. Basically, how to bypass the bypass was the subject. The Dean Ornish, the first American cardiologist who proved during 89, which paper was published in Lancet, that coronary blockages could be reversed by just lifestyle modification. Based on that Dean Ornish program, there were few people in India who started based program what we can say, the coronary blockages reversal program in India, there were only few people, 4 or 5 people which I know, and probably one of them is our organization probably. So uh, we are the initiators, what you can say, one of the initiators of starting this program in the Maharashtra, at least I can say. And the lifestyle, basically, the APA told that uh, sun bath is the treatment for jaundice has been recommended in the naturopathy. I can say that my background is the modern medicine. In even modern medicine also, in the textbook, they have written that the sun bath is the treatment for the neonatal jaundice. Okay, so actually all the sciences streams, they came together. I mean, what the naturopathy advocates, the same thing advocated by the modern medicine also. The same thing advocated by the Ayurveda also in their Swastha Vrutta. Unfortunately, we have made the partitions amongst all these people, all these streams of the science. So we need to have the integrative approach so that we can have a very good result. Now we have started the diabetes reversal program since last 4 months with a very wonderful results. We could reverse, what you can say, we could stop the all anti-diabetic drugs with a normal blood sugar just within 3 to 6 weeks only. Okay, so now every 15 days we are starting the new batches just by lifestyle modification. This is again the online program. Before COVID-19, we used to have the offline. There is a one small training center at Amravati. So we used to have the small camps there, holistic health camp. But now it is all online things which we could convert that. So we have worked uh, for the malignancy cancer also, particularly the surgery, chemo, and radio. The rest of the things, the support system, emotional support, the lifestyle management, nutrition, all these things are very important, but they are not at the mainstream right now. The same thing we experimented in the dialysis patients also, in the HIV positive orphan kids also. We have done a lot many experiments. So I can definitely say that my activities is basically as a teacher. I am not a researcher. I say that yeah, I am not a researcher. But there are indications that the lifestyle definitely have a very important role in the therapy of all those things. So many people used to tell me that why you are not doing your doctorate. Okay, I have not prescribed any medicine since last 20 years. Okay, but definitely I say that I am doing the real doctorate. So I am there to reverse the diabetes, to reverse the coronary blockages and all these things, which probably no one else could do that with pills or procedure. So many times it has supposed to be said that okay, these are all the preventive things, but I object that these are all the curative things, and these are written in the textbook of the medicine only. Whatever the references I got, these are all from the modern medicine only. The same thing which naturopathy advocates, the same thing which Ayurveda advocates, the same thing modern medicine also advocates. Unfortunately, these are not being reached to the people. That's the issue, basically. Yes, Apar.
I remember, in the town that we used to stay, you were famous as a Bagair Goli wala doctor. A doctor who does not
Yes.
really recommend pills. And for last 20 years, you have really not prescribed any pills. Now, you're talking to a group of naturopathy students, young generation here, as
Okay.
part of the On Your Growth, and as a practitioner of naturopathy, as a student of naturopathy, somewhere all of us have had this one little inferiority complex that
Hmm.
when we go to our relatives and they come to us saying that you are learning medicine, I have
Hmm.
fever, why don't you treat me? And
Hmm. Hmm.
unfortunately, we are not somebody who treat fever. We are not somebody, of course, there are naturopathic methods of doing so, but you are not the mainstream medicine for emergencies. So a lot of times our students, they basically feel inferior. They feel sad that they are unable to do so. What would be your take on it?
Uh, I think that the golden era is waiting for the naturopaths. Now that has already started, because what you can say, the limitations of this pills and procedure based medicine has been now very well identified everywhere. Now say suppose we can take the example of COVID-19. Okay, there is no exact therapy. Okay, there are going research is going on, but we don't really know that when the vaccine will be usable, and whether really we will be able to use that vaccine to deal with the COVID-19. So now everybody is talking about raising their immunity. Okay, how we can build up our immunity. And after all, suppose we got the vaccine of the COVID-19, who knows that after say few years there will be a COVID-21 edition where this vaccine will not be of any use. So basically, we need to build up our immunity. We need to have our immune system very strong to deal with all these illnesses. So basically, I believe that the way naturopathy advocates the natural way of living. Unfortunately, naturopathy has also been entrapped in a technology. Okay, so having a very technological steam bath, the fancy steam bath, and other things. Probably, whatever I learned regarding the naturopathy is that living with the nature. Okay, living with the spiritual dimension and the social dimensions is the naturopathy. This is not just the procedures. Again, the otherwise we will get entrapped in the procedures again only. So, so I believe that it's a very good opportunity for you people, for the naturopath. Only thing is that you have to go beyond naturopathy. You have to learn the modern medicine simultaneously. You should be able to connect it both. The main problem with the Ayurveda and naturopathy is that we are not being able to connect our knowledge or our what you can say therapies with the modern medicine language. So that we need to learn. And if we can learn that, then probably the sky is the limit for the naturopath. Definitely, that is going to be there, because we don't all these illnesses. The major three mortality reasons, the causes of death. First is, of course, the heart attack and the allied illnesses, where no definite answer is there in the modern medicine. Second is the cancer. Okay, now they are saying that lot many things are related with the lifestyle only regarding the causes of the cancer, and say we want to can say the prognosis of the cancer also. Third cause of death, mortality, is what you can say the hospital, doctors, and the medicines. So we need to be keep ourselves away from all these causes of death, mortality causes. Okay, and of course the morbidity or the illnesses. Then only probably we can live longer and younger. So we need to adopt the natural way of living, not the naturopathy therapies only. But I will say, in a broader context, we need to lead a very natural way of living. So then only probably we can have a better thing. So naturopathy practitioners should try to, I mean, I will say that focus on that part. Emotional part is a very important part, the social support system. So now we are working with promoting the support group system, support group concept in many field of what I can say the issues. Just day before yesterday, we had a support group meeting of the parents of the differently able kids, autism and Down syndrome and cerebral palsy and everywhere thing. Now, in the coming days, we are going to have it for the leukoderma, then the epilepsy, then the Parkinsonism. This support group, the emotional part component is a very important part. The social health, the title of our, what I can say, the today's topic is that unless and until we have this support system, probably we are not going to treat the patients in a very effective way. So that applies to everywhere. So promoting all these support system. In even modern medicine also, they say that for chronic illnesses, individual therapy is not enough. So the concept of group therapy already it has been existed in the Western or the metros, but still it is not very popularized or in the mainstream. So we need to focus on those things also, along with the naturopathy therapies, maybe. Yes.
Uh, Thank you for giving that confidence booster to all the participants here. Uh, Along with the health sector, you have been working with multiple other things. I really believe that all is a part of social health scenario that we're talking about,
Yes.
creating a social support system. When people used to ask me, what does your father do? A lot of times I cannot answer because Prayas is involved with multiple other activities than just health. So if you can just tell our participants, our viewers, what exactly it is that Prayas is doing in search of the social health, in search of
Okay.
building the healthy society, that will be very nice.
Okay. Surely, I think that is the most important part. Okay. I will be sharing maybe few slides. You may be seeing it. So basically, what I believe is that we have just forgotten the why of living. The famous psychiatrist who had been awarded doctorate by 29 leading universities of the world, Dr. Viktor Frankl, he said that if you know the why of living, then how of living could never be a question for you. Unfortunately, most of us have just forgotten the why of living, and that's the cause of our issues. So how we can help uh, our patients, or what you can say, to find out their own meaning of life. That is what the definition uh, had framed by Viktor Frankl. He says that the role of a therapist is just not to cure the disease, but to help his patients in finding out the meaning of their life. That what should be the role of a therapist, any therapist. So we are working in that way. Our agenda is that helping individuals and organizations in finding out their own agenda. So we have involved in various social activities. All the three generations, what I can say, this slide is in Marathi, but I can just say that there are 5 areas which philosophies which we are working. One is the some R&D part in the social issues. Then to have a catalytic role by mobilizing, collecting the people, mobilizing the issues, and making them, promoting them to take initiative. Third is, of course, the creating awareness, spreading the messages. Fourth is networking amongst the individuals, like-minded individuals and the organizations. And fifth is that, just like with the objective of today's program, to put forward the different role models in front of the other people so that they also get motivated. So we are having lot many programs actually, non-health program also. So one, we just had a small training center at our place Amravati with a 50 persons, what I can say, residential arrangement. So it has came up only during last 5 years. Before that, everything was in the community only, basically. So I just told that we have started this now diabetes reversal program with a very good result. Around 80% of the people could stop their drugs within 3 to 6 months. So every month now, probably every 15 days, we are going to start batches. Initially, we started it in Marathi, and then now we are conducting it in Hindi, and now we will be conducting it in English also. So we are having all the documentation online, the daily food diary, the blood sugar reports, and the medications and everything, just like an indoor patient. So they are at their home, we are at our places, and still we are working. So we could develop a very good team now of different background. 3 PhD people from yoga, naturopathy, nutrition, one MD medicine people, and 2 myself, and one other very senior naturopath of Gandhi. So basically, healthy lifestyle is my one of the subject of expertise. So I used to go lot. I just told about that. 1,000 plus awareness program and 200 plus workshops. Uh, there is one part is Prayas Institute for Human Excellence and Happiness. These are the two components. One should be excellent in whatever you are doing, and one should be happy about what you are doing. So training in the core issues of life like health, relationship, then the parenting, leadership and management, and many other things which we used to
Hello, sir.
have. Yes, from 2 hours lectures to the workshops. So then the personal life coaching, one-to-one coaching to uh, reach to more, what you can say, to our potential and how we can explore and use that for the building a greater life. Okay. Then just now I told that the parent support group for special needs children that we have started, the physically challenged and partially blind workshops we have organized, various things. We used to organize the youth camps also at different places so as to motivate the youth, to sensitize them towards the social issue, to put forward the different role models in front of them so that they get motivated and they can also go beyond what we can say roji roti or the package and do something meaningful in their lives so that they can feel proud about what they have done in their life. Okay, so these kind of camps we used to organize residential camps at different places. So we had a very good network of youth in the state actually. What we can say, I had been labeled as a ऐसा डॉक्टर जो दवा नहीं देता है, when doctor who is not offering any medicine. So awareness program and school colleges, then where I will be after 20 years, Vision 2040, just like based on the concept of our former President of India, APJ Abdul Kalam, where I will be after 20 years. So that kind of vision, then we are working for these chronic illnesses with the students, newspaper collection for the sake of helping the cancer and other people. So the students like you only, they are the initiator and they are the organizer of this kind of activities. So we have tried to create a state level network regarding the malignancy also. We are having a small earn and learn and sponsorship curriculum program and the Academy of Competitive Exam. So we used to have 300 youths every day who are preparing for their future, say, competitive exams. Okay. Due to COVID now, of course, it is stopped. We used to have the entrepreneurship and development program also. Then we are having books because good books can change the life. So we used to have that separate wing, how we can inculcate the reading habit and promote the good books.
I think
So
I'll
we used
just
to,
interrupt you there, and
yes.
I would ask you to tell us what books would you recommend to somebody who wants to be a good doctor or a good human being per se.
Sure,
So
sure.
I know that you read a lot. So
Yes.
what is it that are a must read for a medico and
Okay.
even otherwise to be a good human being?
Definitely. I can say that the role models in front of us, we should have some role models in front of us and we should read the biographies and autobiographies of them. I can mention few. The Dr. Viktor Frankl, his book is Man's Search for Meaning. Okay, that's a fantastic book. One must read that book, I will say. Then what you can say, the Dean Ornish program for reversing heart disease, the first cardiologist of the world who proved that. Then world-renowned oncologist. Okay, his book is that. The another book of Dean Ornish is Love and Survival. Okay, that is the another book. And what he says that the most important causative factor of all kinds of illnesses, including infections, is not the germs, not the cholesterol, not the chemicals, but the intimacy with your own self and with others. Okay, that is what the Dean Ornish is saying. He is still alive there and working with the heart and other things. Then the other thing I can suggest that uh, there is one oncologist who had written two very important books, uh, Love, Medicine and Miracle. And another book is Love, Peace and Healing. Okay. He is an oncologist. He used to say that every medico should not be awarded certificate unless he had been admitted in the hospital with tubes in all his bodily orifices. Okay. Unless and until that, we never will used to have what the patient feels. We just say that this is the simple procedure. Okay, this is not the simple procedure from the patient's perspective. Then there are, many books actually, which I can label. Patch Adams is one of the film. Everyone must see that. Patch Adams is a physician. He is still alive. He's having his hospital at Virginia. And you can just go to the YouTube and see that film. Our Munna Bhai, MBBS, was based on that film only. Okay. So lot of things are there which we should go. We can have a big list of the books, probably maybe in some or the other form. Definitely we can circulate that. Yes.
Yeah.
These are the activities of some of the Prayas activities, Scrap Bank and other things. So these are my contact details also. They are also there. So you can contact us on the mail or a WhatsApp or whatever, even the mobile also. I used to give my mobile number everywhere. And I used to say that if you want to share something and you find no one around on this earth with whom you can share, you please contact me. I will definitely have the time to listen to you at least. And what I means is I means definitely. So definitely you can contact for any, what you can say, the personal issue or the professional thing which probably I can help. Because my life agenda is to help others to reach their own agenda. That is what my agenda is. I don't have any other agenda. So that's the thing probably. So definitely you can make use of it. Yes, Sapar.
Yeah. Well, I think we are almost at the end of what we wanted to talk today. But then one of the things that probably we will do now is take up some questions. Our viewers have some questions for you. One question that came in was regarding the clinical skills that you were talking. And in today's time, all doctors write a lot of tests. So how do you diagnose things without doing those investigations? This question came from Janvi Mishra. So Baba, if you can answer that.
Just my connection get dropped. So
No, you are there. You are there.
Laptop.
Yeah, you are there. No problem.
I have not heard, but well, you have
spoken.
Okay, so just
we
repeat
will we will now take up the questions from the participants. Some of them have asked very interesting questions to you. One of the questions is, a lot of investigations are recommended by doctors today, but you say that you can diagnose things without those investigations. So what should be done by the medicos to do so? I think there is some technical difficulty because of which we are unable to get him online now. Just we will try for a minute to get him online. I'm sure he's trying. He's back.
Yes, again.
Yeah, you are back again. So the question here was to how do you not do so many investigations and still diagnose patients? The question came from Janvi Mishra.
No, I didn't get it. Can you repeat it?
Yes. The question is, in case these days the doctors are recommending a lot of investigations, but you said during your talk that you don't really require so many investigations to diagnose things like, the question is specific to fever. So how do you distinguish between fevers? What should the clinical skills should be, and how do you diagnose things? You are not audible. Just 1 second. I'm unmuting you. Yeah.
Okay. Can you get me?
Yes.
Half diagnosis can be made by just looking to the patient who is coming to your cabin. Okay, so your eyes should get trained in that way only. The emotions, the facial expression, the other thing. Then what we can say, the your these clinical skills, the touch. You should have a very sensitive touch so that you can feel the things. Okay, those are the things. Then the pattern of the fever, the associated symptoms. Okay, we do need some lab investigation, maybe in some cases definitely, but we did not rely completely on the lab investigation. Today, what happens? We totally rely on the lab investigation, and they are not in isolation. They don't have any meaning actually. In fact, what I will say, because those are the average values again. They are not the normal one. They are the average value. That's a big topic actually. Whether what we say the blood sugar is 80 to 120 or 75. What happens when you change the parameters? What is the effect on the economy and other things? So there are a lot many factors who are working with that. So basically, what you can say, our body is the most important diagnostic thing. We should be able to diagnose our own self. Lot many things we can diagnose at our own. So Gandhiji used to say that you are the best doctor of your own self. Okay. So the correct observation, we need to train our patients to observe themselves in a clear way. Our body used to indicate, it used to give signals, but we are not looking after that. So I believe that when I see towards the signal out of me, probably then your vision also get trained to see the signals in other people also, in your patients also probably. So that is possible. That is not at all difficult. You can see
Okay.
that.
The
Of
other
course, at some
question,
places you may require something. Yes.
the other question is from Greshma, who is a final year BNY student from Alvas College of Naturopathy. It is about the relationships and their relevance with social and mental health. Do you really think that the present generation is lacking interpersonal relationship, and what should be done to improve them?
I believe that that's a very important area. That's one of the core most area of our life. Okay. You may have lot of dollars, new car and everything. We need to have someone to share our pleasure, whatever. I mean, if you see a good movie, you want to say, you want to share what you have seen and how you enjoyed that. If there is no one to share with, then probably that is the biggest vacuum we can have in our life, in spite of all the, what we can say, materialistic successes. Then we can say that the social health, particularly the support group system, that is a very crucial. Okay, suppose you are on the bed and no one is there, no one is coming there, no family member is there, how you will be feeling? Probably your illness will prolong, your prognosis will not be that good. If there is a good support system, there is someone who care for you, who share with you. So that's a very important part. Actually, the research regarding the longevity, how to live longer and younger, there were 4 dimensions, 4 fundamental truths the scientists could found out for living longer and younger. First is what they ate. Second is the physical activity. Third is the share and care attitude that makes you live longer and younger. And fourth is, of course, to have some purpose for living longer and younger. You need to have some purpose for living a longer and younger. And that purpose should be beyond self, not just to earn more currency, more money, but it should have the purpose that how I can make change, make difference in others' life. Okay. So all these things definitely matter. Even in the cancer, we know that the support group is a very important therapy. It has already been proved by research for many chronic illnesses that support group definitely acts as a therapeutic. They add to the therapeutic value, they act as a therapy, and they are very important. So interpersonal relationship, probably I believe that you youngsters are what we can say, lot many times little bit casual regarding the relationships. The friends we are having, the average age of our friendship is around 30 to 40 years. So I will definitely suggest you people that you should have that much when you will be meeting, say, year 2060. So 40 years after that, still you should have that affinity and bond and intensity to meet each other. Okay, so that is a very important part. So you can fight out all the challenges if you are having the support system, you are having a good relationship amongst you. You can fight out all the challenges, including the health, of course, definitely.
I think another question which
Yes.
is very relevant in today's era of COVID-19 and pandemic, where social distancing is the norm, how do we take care of
Yes.
social health and mental health in such social distancing era? This is a
There
question
could
from
be social.
Ritu.
Okay.
This is a question from
Social.
Ritu, who is a final year student. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, fine. Social distancing could be a, what you can say, need of an hour, need of today's hour. But the mental distancing is more important, I believe. If you can feel connected with each other, the geographical distance doesn't matter at all. So you are sitting at your own places from a different states of the India. I am sitting in Maharashtra in a small town. Apar is sitting at Bangalore, and still we are connected. If we feel connected, that kind of, I believe, connectedness, that kind of bond, that kind of feeling is a very important part. Otherwise, also we know that everything is related with everything. Okay, Einstein has given us the equation E is equal to mc square. Nothing can be created, nothing can be destroyed. Only the transformation. Beyond Einstein, there is a quantum theory. Quantum says that everything is related with everything. Everything is in a wave form. So we are all related. I believe that probably that could be the purpose of human life, to understand that we know that our thumb impression is different. All this, what you can say, 700 crores population, every individual is having a different thumb impression. Every word can be identified with a DNA mapping. Still, there is something unique. It means that there is something unique in myself. So to get to know what is the uniqueness of myself, probably that is the one purpose of our life. And another end, in spite of all the differences, we are all interconnected, whether living or non-living. So probably to know that is the another dimension of the same thing. So if we can, what I can say, relate and identify, probably we don't have any issue regarding all those things. So mental distancing, there should not be mental distancing. Okay, physical distance could be a thing. Okay, so Apar is at Bangalore, I am at Amravati, we are having 1,000 kilometers distance. But the mental distance is the most important part, I believe. So the youngster should definitely invest in building up the fruitful and meaningful lifelong relationships. Okay, that probably I can definitely say.
Yes, I think there are another couple of questions which we will take quickly. One is, how do you take care when you are compared very negatively? So how do you face that? The society around you probably would be negative. So what should keep you motivated?
Okay. I think that if you can create a Z plus security line with you, that will protect you. So this protective Z plus security line should be of a positive thoughts, positive books, positive people, which surrounds you, and which is the, what you can say, army, which protect from any negative influence. The negative influence just can't enter within that circle. So you try to build up this kind of things by inculcating the positive reading, by making the relationship with the positive people, by what I can say, developing the relationship with the mentors, either through the books or the living role models. So all these will help you in protecting from all kinds of negativities. Okay. And another thing is that you should not forget that you are unique on this earth. So you are the one, probably there is something within you which probably nobody else in the world is having. Okay, so you need not, you should always remember this fact and try to find out your uniqueness. So you don't have to compare, and you don't need any external, what you can say, certification or other things. Okay. I myself used to do that kind of thing. At the end of the day, I try to find out that what I have done today, for what I can slap my back. Okay. So basically, I can give award to myself. Okay, you have done something good today. Okay. So try to find out something to good which you feel good about at the end of the day. That will protect you from all kinds of negativities, probably.
The other question here by Grishma is Gandhiji aimed at naturopathy as a system for everybody in India, which was for
Yes.
poor. But today,
Yes.
when we see naturopathy, it is probably not afforded by poor. So, what is
Yes.
your take on it?
Definitely, which I mentioned that naturopathy has been entrapped in the technology and other things. So now today, the naturopathy scenario is that it is for the affluent people only, not for the poor actually. So that is not the real naturopathy. Real naturopathy is just looking after your daily diet, just looking after your daily emotions, having the support system, thinking positively, and a bit of what we can say, some basic therapies probably, which doesn't require any technology, any that fancy things probably. Then only probably it could be a system for everyone. Then and then only.
Thank you. I think this would be the last question that we will take. Vivek has asked, for being so selfless, what was your motivation? I think he has answered that question already during the talk that, you have books, people, and friends. The last question is, how do you help the world to come out of Corona?
Okay. I don't know. I am not a what I can say big fellow or expert in commenting on that. But definitely, I can say that the only thing probably which we can have is to how we can build up our immunity. One part is that. Another part is that the fear, the more than the corona, the fear is destroying our health actually. Okay, so we should really find out in a very rational way. We should study the statistics. What are the probabilities? How much is the death rate? What we can do? And finally, I can say the three lines which has been quoted by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. He says that, "Oh God, please give me the courage about the things which I can't change. Okay, to accept those. Okay, please give me the courage to accept the things which I can't change." Second part, he said, "Hey, oh God, please give me the strength to change the things which I can change." And third part, which he said, "Oh God, please give me the wisdom regarding what I can change and what I can't change." Unfortunately, what happens, we used to try and change the things which are not within our control and we get frustrated. So I believe that the things which are within our control, for the corona say, they say that the social distancing, the mask and the precautions, hand wash and other things, that everyone should take. Okay, everyone should try to build up their own immune system. These are the things which are within our control. Okay, and I believe that if we can do that for a longer run, if we can build up our immune system, we can align our daily life more towards the nature, then probably uh, we need not fear about the corona. That could be the way we can deal with the corona.
So this was a session that we intended to have for about an hour, but we are already finishing an hour and a half now. What will be your parting message to everybody, my viewers who are watching it
Okay.
online, and how will they be able to connect to you if they want to?
Okay. I will say that everyone should find out his why of living. Okay. In Japan, there is a ikigai. Some of you might have heard regarding the ikigai. Ikigai means the reason why you get up in the morning. Okay. So everyone should find out his ikigai. It could be different. It could be anything. It need not be a big one. It need not be a great one. But the things which you love doing, which you are passionate about, so find it out. What are they? The second part which ikigai tells us is that you find out the things which for which you are good at. You are good at doing those things. So that is the second part. One is the things which you love doing. Second part is which are good. You are good at doing it. Third thing is that the need of the world. What is the need of the world? Okay, you should be able to fulfill some or the other kind of the unfulfilled need of the world around you. And fourth is the world should be ready to pay or ready to reward you for what you are doing. So I believe that this finding out the why of living instead of going behind how, then we can lead our life in a spiritual and a scientific way. And if we can have this why burning in our day-to-day routine, then and then only probably we can live in a satisfaction and peace. And finally, if just I told before also, if you really want to connect with us, though my all hairs are white, my most of the friends are the youngsters like you. Okay, so I know your language. I use you all your what you can say the technology and the platform. So you can connect me with on the Facebook. You can catch up on the YouTube. You can on the WhatsApp, on my mail ID or the mobile number. So all these channels are open. So no issue about all those things. I will be love to talk with you, or if I can be useful for you, then my agenda is also get fulfilled. So I will be very happy for doing all these things. Yes.
Thank you very much, Baba, for that wonderful session that we had as the first part of Doctors with the Difference. If you like this video, please do share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Dr. Avinash here has his own channel, which has a lot of things on inspiration. There are things for health. You can watch that. Most of the videos are in Marathi and Hindi, but we also are trying to get some videos in English as well. So you can watch that. And please do share with your friends and loved one. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Bhavit, for all the technical support that you have provided in connecting the whole, putting the show together. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
So many best wishes to all of the youngsters for their future life journey. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we'll end this session. Thank you.
Yes.